this week we have a listener's question. Now, you can throw your listeners, we haven't done one of these for quite a while, listeners' questions, but one has come in, and you can throw listener questions at us by getting in touch at all those social medias, Twitter at N-E Café 2, search for N-E Café on Facebook and Instagram at N-E Café Podcast, and also on the N-E Café forum at the N-Europe website and N-Europe forums. Get us there, drop us a question, and we'll answer it if it's a sensible one. Like Stephen Jacobs has sent us on Twitter this week. It was about a week and a half ago we got this in, and he said, knowing what we now know of Mario's 35th anniversary, with that direct, what do you want and hope and expect for Zelda's 35th anniversary next year? So it is Zelda's 35th anniversary, always the year after. I'm not too sure on the specific date, but today, as we're recording, is Mario's birthday. Well done, Super Mario. 35 years old today. So, your hopes, dreams, what do you want to see? Nick, do you want to mention one thing that could potentially be happening next year for Zelda's 35th?
Well, there's going to be a very big difference, I think, between hopes and expectations.
Yeah.
So, I think we'll get a collection released.
Okay, and we'll deep dive into this collection. What do you think's going to be on it?
Well, it's hard to say after Mario All-Stars. I mean, they could just release Ocarina of Time, Twilight Princess, and Wind Waker without any, like the 64 GameCube and Wii version. Yeah. Basically, like they've done for Mario All-Stars. Make them widescreen, 720p for Ocarina of Time, 1080p for the other two. I mean, the sensible thing, we've already got Twilight Princess and Wind Waker remastered at 1080p with new... And we've got Ocarina of Time as well, actually, the 3D version, which is much better than the N64 version. So I hope they would go with those three. And because I don't think Zelda has quite the same appeal and draw as Mario, I think they would include a fourth. I think they would... A good way to do it would be to include 5 games, actually. I would include Majora's Mask as well, the remastered version. So the remastered version of all those 4 games, it's been done already. Make the 3DS ones higher resolution and widescreen. And then add a remastered version of Skyward Sword to that collection. Have 5 games, 50 quid. I'll gladly pay 50 quid for that. And have them all ready to go on the Switch. The only problem with Skyward Sword is the controls. I don't think they would do the game from the ground up. In fact, I don't even think they could, because it's designed around motion. I think changing that is going to be too much effort. Not too much that they're lazy, but I mean, like, really too much effort. You basically have to do the whole game again. So I would hope for some kind of Joy-Con implementation, but I don't know how that would work.
Some new patented standalone Joy-Con?
Possibly, with an IR sensor. You know, I was thinking about this actually when we were talking a minute ago. The Switch sticks out from the dock, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. So in theory, yes, you could have 2 like infrared dots on the Switch's screen. And then you could put an IR sensor, like with the Wii remote, at the tip of a Joy-Con. And there you go, you've got it. You've got your pointer, basically. Yeah. But you'd have to position the Switch under the TV exactly for it to work.
In the middle, yeah. Or you'd have some calibration screen saying, where is your Switch in relation to your TV? Yeah.
In theory, it could work, but I don't know. But yeah I'd love to... Like, Skyward Sword is the one I'm desperate to play again. I would like to see it remastered visually. I would take a Mario Galaxy and Sunshine style remaster. Just bump it up to 1080p. I think the art style is good enough as it is. As we've seen with Galaxy, you know, the Wii was... The Wii generation, they had some beautiful games. It just looked a bit crap because it was in 480p. But you touch up the textures a little bit, stick it in 1080p, and like Galaxy looks absolutely phenomenal. Still.
It's amazing. Yeah, some of the screens I've seen
so
of that as B Mario.
I think Skyward Sword, there are a few textures which are a bit blurry probably in that game, but I think it would look stunning in 1080p. So I would be happy with that, and that would be the collection I would be looking forward to. A 3D collection with all those games. And then maybe like a 2D collection as well. Like, you know, Link to the Past.
That's what I got down on my list.
4 Swords. Yeah. Maybe throw in the Oracle games as well. And Zelda 1 and 2. Who knows? Who knows?
Greg, would you buy any of those collections?
Definitely
the 3D one?
Definitely wouldn't be buying that 2D collection because it sounds absolutely horrid. And kind of like Nintendo did with the Super Mario 3D All-Stars collection, like I haven't really given this much thought. I have the GameCube disc, the one that was on like the Club Nintendo thing. That was like the Nintendo VIP thing. I've got it. It was, and it came with like the original Zelda, Zelda 2, Ocarina of Time, and Majora's Mask. I could easily see them throw something like that again in physical form. I don't know why they would, because obviously like those NES games are already on like the online app, and we obviously have improved versions now of Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, but at the same time, the way they did with like the Mario games, it's like they seem to have sort of like preserved them sort of almost in like their original form in a way. Like even with like the Mario 64 one, they could have used like the DS version if they wanted to, but they didn't. So I think even if they bring out like a Zelda sort of like 3D collection or something, I'm not even entirely sure they would use the 3DS versions. I think they would maybe actually just up-res the original versions again, which would be a travesty, because like Majora's Mask is, I don't really like it, and I think I even playing it on the 3DS I didn't like it, but I think it would have been even worse playing it on the N64 for me, so I wouldn't really want that version at all. So Skyward Sword would be the one that I would be most intrigued by, because it's actually probably one of my favourite Zelda games. And I think they could implement the motion controls just fine on the Switch, because like the pointer isn't really used that much, really. Obviously it's used for like the bow and arrow stuff, but I think it would probably work relatively fine. And I think the motion controls would probably hold up decent enough. I mean, you'd have to recalibrate constantly probably, but you probably had to do that quite a lot in the Wii version anyway, and it wasn't that detrimental. So I would kind of like to see a remake of that, and like ideally have it bundled with the Wind Waker and Twilight Princess, which we got on the Wii U, but they could easily just do Skyward Sword again with the updated visuals and all, and sell it for like £50 or £60 or whatever.
I have a feeling it will be those three: Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, because they're already done, and just a little bit of HD sheen on those ones, and then Skyward Sword would be the big selling point. Ocarina and Majora's Mask, if they did add one of those, it'd be Ocarina, and then Majora's Mask would fall into the ugly stepchild that Galaxy 2 has fallen into and won't be mentioned. They just won't say anything. What I'd like to see is, if they can get it running with no frame rate problems, is a remake of Link to the Past and Link Between Worlds. Link to the Past being very nostalgic for me. Love that game, and I haven't played it. I used to play it regularly on like a yearly basis, but I haven't played it for a few years. I'd love to play it again in that kind of Link's Awakening, the new Link's Awakening style. So both of those, you got Link to the Past and then the follow-up Link Between Worlds. If they did like a double pack of both of those games in that kind of style, that might be a day one, and it was running smooth. That might be a day one purchase for me, that.
Yeah, that would be a good one. I'd get that as well. I think that would be nice. Even Link to the Past on its own, to be honest. I would happily pick that up with a little bit of a new art style similar to Link's Awakening. One thing I was thinking about, actually. No? You hate it, don't you?
I'm not a big fan of A Link to the Past either. Like, I have a wee bit of nostalgia for it, but I haven't played it a few years ago. I didn't really enjoy it, so no.
I still think it's the best 2D Zelda.
Brilliant it is. Absolutely brilliant.
Outside of games, you've got oddities written here.
Yeah.
And I've got one oddity that we might see, and I think they might release, or they might finish at least and release. You remember that 8-bit tech demo they did for Breath of the Wild? Where they took the original Legend of Zelda game and sort of...
Oh, yes.
I reckon we might see a public version of that in some form. Because they made such a big deal about it, didn't they, when they were building Breath of the Wild, all those developer videos and stuff, and they showed us, how they got the fire working and stuff like that, and sort of changing
as a development tool.
I do wonder whether
storyboard
we might see a playable version of something like that. That would be really interesting for me. to see that.
That's a good call, that is, yeah. And it could even be as a kind of like Nintendo Switch Online member exclusive kind of thing as well, being something that could be added to, not the NES app or anything, or maybe you could, as an additional, what do they call those extra ones? SP versions of games. That is a good shout. Greg, do you have any kind of oddities or little extras that you think they'll drop, like the Game & Watch, Zelda Game & Watch?
It kind of seems like a no-brainer almost. Like, I think they would do a Game & Watch with like Zelda 1 and 2 on it.
Do you remember the old original Zelda Game & Watch had a kind of that white with the red fascia and then the green cover, it was green elements on it. It was a dual clamshell one. It was a dual screen thing. So it would be weird if they did it in that kind of style, but that would be cool. A clamshell designed Game & Watch. I haven't seen one of those for years.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a surprise. Like, obviously, like Super Mario 35 is only going to be on the shop for a limited time. You're only going to be able to play it till, is it March or something?
Yeah, end of March. Yeah.
I can imagine some sort of Zelda game replacing it in like a 4 swords style or something. I don't know if it's going to be like 35 swords or something mad, but I could definitely see some sort of Zelda game taking over that baton. And it'd probably be one that I'm not interested in.
I've basically stolen the kind of Mario Kart idea, the AR Mario Kart idea.
Riding the pony around your living room.
They're going to have a physical Link which can rotate. It doesn't move, just rotates through 180 degrees, 360 degrees. And then as you move your Switch, Link moves around as well. And it's going to be, I suppose, similar to Face Raiders on the 3DS, but Link will make hi-ya noises or whatever with his bow because it's going to be AR Link's crossbow training.
Oh, Greg would like that one.
Yeah. Greg, would you buy that?
You intrigued me because for some reason I was just thinking of slashing the sword, but I completely forgot crossbow training. You have intrigued me. Yes, I think I would buy that. I'm in.
It's basically, because he's not, well, maybe he will move, who knows, he'll, waddle down your hallway or whatever you want him to go, but it's basically just having an excuse to have a Bluetooth camera connected to your Switch, so then you can use that in the real world to shoot certain Octoroks jumping out of your sofa. Yeah, cool.
I would want it to be, remember those like at the early like Wii U videos we've seen, like the way they had the zapper for the Wii and they had like the Wii U gamepad docked into it. Like, I would like to see something like that with the Switch, actually. Just slide it in. Yeah.
Yeah, it would
Let's
be
make
very
it happen.
Yeah,
crossbow training. Let's do it.
AR crossbow training.
I'm excited for next year now.
Any other thing, boys?
We got one more
might
thing.
happen. Yeah, carry
I
on.
think, the celebration of Mario has been pretty decent. Like, there's not really much for me and for us in general, but I think there's a lot of stuff for fans. Like Amiibos, Game & Watch stuff, a couple of free games, remasters. How much out of 10 do you think we'll see a Zelda maker?
I don't think we will.
No?
No, it would be so cool. Anuma, right? So he's in charge. I know 3D Zeldas and all that, but he was in charge of the Zelda, I forgot, the Link's Awakening recently, and he toyed with the idea of having a more extensive kind of dungeon.
Well, that's the thing, because they added it, didn't they, into Link's Awakening? They added a dungeon builder.
They did, but it was very simple. He
It
said,
is.
and his words were something like, anything more complicated would be too complicated.
No, I'm not buying it.
Okay.
I think. Well, it would for some people. Yeah, it would be very complicated. But I think for Zelda fans, they know what makes a good dungeon and what doesn't. I think it's a possibility, maybe. And I think that was them kind of testing the waters. I'm sure they have data about how much people have played that. Because I don't really like it, to be honest. I've not put that much time into the Dungeon Maker on Link's Awakening, but there's nothing you can really do with it. That's why. So I don't know. I'd be interested if they would go down that road. If that was a kind of like an excuse to test the water on a Zelda Maker style game. We'll see.
Yeah. I kind of wonder what sort of themes you would have, because obviously you have like the original theme and A Link to the Past. Not sure what else, like Minish Cap, something like that.
Yeah.
I don't think they would go like with would they do like a 3D one, like A Link Between Worlds or something?
Possibly.
Then you
if
get
it was top-down 3D, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe you could design it in top-down 2D, isometric, and then turn it with a switch of a button into the simple 3D version.
Well,
of
just be like the same way like New Super Mario Brothers is like a theme in Mario Maker. Like I think it would just be similar sort of like that, but I'm not overly keen on most of top-down Zeldas. So like I'm a Zelda maker where people are making like crap dungeons, like count me out, like. But I can't see it happening.
I can't see it happening. Sorry, Nick.
No, that's all right.
I wish it
just
was.
throwing ideas
That's for
around.
sure. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button and give us a like if you've enjoyed our content. You can also check out our other great content on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and the N-E Café podcast from all good podcast providers. Just follow the links in the description below.